Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. Niko tayari kukatika, sebebiti nasika, emosenyo somesida. Astori ya bonga yanga la medosingwa. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing.
This show with your host, not our head.
Maliza, yo. Nilikuona kwa TV, yo. When am I dropping my CV, yo. Unipatie kazi, I want to be your kando. Nipakie umati wasikuchafue roho. Nitafute mkuki nikulinde kindauo. Mwenye sidambi ya chui kwa sipanduki nango. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. Nani zingua, baby ushani maliza, yo. Nitakufuata kwa bidii na nikusomeka degree. Oh la, nijishindie mechi kabumbu ya roho na niongoze ligi kikombe niwe nayo, watu tazame kwa mbali. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing.
Good afternoon, family. And rising. This minute is part 2, literally 1 p.m. You guys are doing amazing. Ready for Thursday. Yes, welcome to the Pan-African Bliss Show. My name is Joby. First time listeners on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, returning listeners on the radio.
And if this is a competition, then you won't be over. If your name is Lupita, then my name is Oscar. And if this is a competition, then you won't be over. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing.
You're tuning in.
Zingua, baby, ushani maliza, yo. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing. I'm not sober yet, I have taken nothing anymore.
I hope you guys are doing amazing. That is Amos and Josh. The name of the jam is Zingua. An amazing, actually old jam. Literally, I don't know what happened to this amazing group. They were so talented. One of the groups actually that featured in one of the projects that actually did bring out amazing, talented people, other young people in the 254. That is Tasker Project Fame. literally, if it'd come back, I think I'd go try a voice out. Not really like, to just try my luck out to see if I really, really have it. And hear the judges. I'd love to hear someone like Judge Ian, who was so ruthless. But anyway, karibuni sana. Literally, it is exactly 56 minutes. 56 minutes. That is past the top of the hour. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Hope your week so far has been good. I thought today was on Wednesday, but actually today is on Thursday. I don't know why I'm behind the calendar, but I hope you are literally also ready for today's conversation. To everyone live with us once again on Rumble Beachutes, everyone with us on YouTube for the first time, kindly subscribe on whatever stream you are with us from. And of course, also download our app, very easy for you to find on the Google Play Store. Black Hot Fire Network is the name. And once you have that, sign in using your username and also ensure you purchase these amazing products that we're sharing with you. They're all organic, coming at a very affordable price. We're talking about vitamins, proteins, amino acids, beauty, hair, nail, skin essentials. We got you covered. And in case you have any questions before and after you purchase, you'll be communicated to straight and direct regarding what you are actually inquiring. But on today's conversation, we shall be talking about the Kenyan government, which is poisoning Kenyans. I mean, this is not the first time we're talking about this. This takes me back in 2022 immediately. And even before that, we had, and I've been talking about genetically modified food, which is being pushed not just to Kenyans, but Africans, for us to normalize this. And we've seen since the appointment of President William Ruto, things have not been easy for Kenyans economically, and also when it comes to even majority of ownership of even your own land. You as a farmer, what you're supposed to do. There's some changes we've seen. They have been trying to push so hard for us to actually accept. Part of their agendas where they want to fully control people, have full control of people, have full control of farms, have full control of food and everything, just like they have been doing. And Africans, I don't know if we're really ready for this fight, because the fight, when it comes on their end, they're really pushing it so hard for them to succeed so that we can accept these agendas. But I don't know about Africans if we're ready to tackle this battle. So we're talking about basically, just genetically modified food. We've seen also that was 2023, 2024, Kenyans also being told, we're not going to be using our literally our own seeds, original seeds. You need to start adapting to taking genetically modified seeds, and all the damage, the poisoning this comes with. Apart from that, we've seen also them pushing for us to actually vaccinate our cows. And I think I did also share a video, shout out to Lynn Gugi, who actually is the video I'm going to be sharing of her also today, she had an amazing guest breaking it all the way down. And he's been talking about this when it comes to agriculture, things we need to avoid and understand as Africans, not just Kenyans. So basically, we've seen the push of cows, them wanting us to vaccinate our cows. And we've also shared, of course, a video of this guy who told us the effect of us consuming any milk or any meat that contains the mRNA vaccination. And of course, I forgot to share the videos to share actually of the Japanese guy, the Japanese scientist. I'm gonna be sharing with that literally with the Jibba Jabba on WhatsApp. I totally remembered today when I was doing research on this. So I'm gonna share that particular video of literally where we expected a big number of people to lose their lives if you took the VACCINE, and them pushing literally us vaccinating the cows, genetically modified foods. We know the hell they're literally dragging us to. So basically, that is what we shall be talking about. And now we can see Kenya, despite just the GMOs pushing the vaccination of the cows, they are now even using pesticides that are banned in countries like France, Thailand, Australia, Germany, Italy. We shall be getting deeper into that. But along that, we shall also talk about, of course, what is happening also in Uganda when you talk about infiltration of plastics into agricultural yields and food, which has raised so much concern. And with that, what could we actually do as African continents? Because it's a problem we have. Littering everywhere actually is very, very active. Littering of plastics is everywhere. But how would the African continent come up with a plan or a project that actually can produce oil? Because most of this, I learned this also me yesterday, most of these plastic trash bags, they come literally from petroleum, and we're talking about oil. This is us literally just recreating again everything that the universe has given us. And I love the way that this young man, I'm going to be sharing his video, how he broke it down. And of course, along that, we shall be talking about what is happening in Guinea. We know that Guinea did have a fake coup, and the country, of course, has not been performing so well. So they're looking a way forward on how they can go back to civilian ruling. And then along that, we shall talk about Haiti and the tariffs imposed in the African countries. But karibuni sana once again. That was Amos and Joss, of course, I started with, and the name of the jam is Rudisha. I want to play one more jam of theirs, and then I'm going to come back, of course, with a quote of the day. And as we get started with everything that is also happening in other African countries. So stay along right here with us. But let me share first an amazing organic product that you can get also on the BHFN. That is multivitamin, apart from the brain and focus, as we get started.
Fuel your body with complete multivitamin, the perfect balance of essential nutrients for daily health and wellness. Carefully formulated from natural ingredients, our multivitamin packs vitamins A, C, D, E, plus key minerals like zinc and magnesium to support your immune system and boost energy. Just one tablet a day is all you need. Take it with water and feel the difference as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Stay active, stay strong, stay ready with Complete Multivitamin, your daily dose of vitality. Complete Multivitamin, simple, powerful nutrition. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition store.
Terrence.
Story. Here we go. Jemo katoka kwa baiskeli. Sato after kuwatch cartoons kwa tele. Akiwa lap mato akadai rao. Niende lap moja kwa esto. Mwaga mjo. Shobuda kwa kununulie yako. Wase wakamcheka wakishia. Machozi kamtoka akilia. Wewe ni Jemo ama we ni Mato? Are you the one to share or the friend in need of care? Na kuuliza swali, we ni Jemo ama we ni Mato? Are you the one to share or the friend in need of care? Need of care. Acha mwangaza uangaze. Wanaokuona walitukuze jina lake. Acha mwangaza uangaze. Wanaokuona walitukuze jina lake Yesu.
Yes, that is Amos. Without wasting much more of the time, karibuni sana once again to everyone who's just joining us on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, everyone on the radio, everyone with us on YouTube as well. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Happy Thursday ahead of you. My quote of the day as you get started with today's conversation says, these are not to self as you start your day. It says, you got to do this for you. This is for you. This isn't about anybody. Live for you, honor you. Never lose sight of that. This is for you, literally. As you do everything, remember it is all about you. Me, there's always something I always like literally remember every single time. If I try picture the fact that I'm gonna die, be on my own casket alone, like F everybody, man. Like for at just some point, just like I'm gonna be at the casket alone. This is my life. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna live the way I want. I'm gonna make choices that are gonna make me proud, not other people. But karibuni sana once again. Hope you can share your own motivational quote of the day, but without wasting time. I want to start with what is happening in Uganda, because we want to look at our African countries. If you talk about actually Uganda, Museveni is one of the biggest failure we saw yesterday. One of the biggest traitors who have been trained literally Pan-Africanist leaders, Pan-Africanism, he's been in power for the last 36 years. Nothing can you say you can tell there's a development in Uganda, literally. If you talk about employment rate, it's very, very crazy. If you talk about the GDP, it's a poor country. Uganda is considered as one of amongst the poorest country. If you talk about actually education, I believe it's the same in all African countries, the way it has been set up. Yes, we do have free public schools, but we still pay school fees. Not everyone can afford school fees. The fact that there's no employment, there's lack of money circulation, all the funds are going to these people's pockets. What do you expect? So, of course, there's been also high concerns when you talk about sanitary. We know that Rwanda actually is one of the countries in Africa that is super clean. We give Kagame that a round of applause. But maybe we're just talking about the city. I've not been into Rwanda personally, so I'm not going to buy the propaganda that comes from the media. Because if you hear from majority of the people, when you go to the slums, when you go to the interior places where the media won't show you, people are still living not really that good much of a condition as exclaimed on the media. But we have Uganda, which actually they are raising a concern about infiltration of plastics into agriculture, fields, and food. And this is so crazy. If you look at the image you have literally on your screen, this is super, super insane. And they're saying that globally, plastics are infiltrating agricultural land, spreading across fields through fertilizer and enhancing seeds, serving as moisture, retaining taps and accumulating as waste of various industries. I don't really understand what that really basically means, but personally, this is not something or a condition that Africans will need to be exposed to. But if you look at actually most of the African countries, cities, towns, this is the norm. This is a norm. We have, I think I've been talking about the biggest dumping site we have right here, Dandora dumping site, and I've shared so many different videos, images of the condition people are forced even to live in, because we don't have recycling companies. They can actually recycle all this garbage. People themselves have taken matters into their own hands. You'll find there are people actually who sell bottles. They go as garbage collectors, literally, to collect some fancy bottles, refancy them, make them maybe into some flower vessels, some glasses. If you have the machines, you can turn them into, some beautiful glasses, and then you start selling them. We've seen also some women and men and children, literally, they go there to pick up clothes that have been thrown away. And we're talking about second-hand clothes. They rewash them, and then they go back to the market and resell them. So it's just so crazy to see the conditions. This is the conditions Africans are put into, but still, your government is not going to come clean up this mess, And the fact that also ourselves, we've not been given a strategy on how we can, come up with a proper way of collecting all this garbage and making it easy for the government to come up with a recycling company. Well, we can actually, it should be a business, because this is where we have people. I've seen children who collect these plastic bottles, and then they go sell them into some places, and they get maybe $1 or half $1. I don't know how much, or maybe some metals, scrap metals. They collect them and then go sell them to some certain companies, and then they get a few pounds or some few money, just to eat maybe for a day, or maybe if you want to get a meal. So this should be, if we had recycling companies, this can also become a job actually for majority of the young people who have the ability to go collecting all these littered bottles, polythene papers, clothes, and then we take them to the recycling companies. I should be paid, even if it's $2 or something. At least I'm doing something, and at least we've seen the aftermath of what we're doing, the cleansing of the environment, number one, and also coming up with different now materials out of what we're recycling. It's just super, super crazy, because there's this guy who's talking about, I want to share this video. There's this guy who's talking about how plastics actually come from petroleum. He's talking about how everything is energy, right? And then he says plastics comes from petroleum, and they've been lying to us. We don't have we need to keep on littering and littering and littering. But why can't we take all this into a serious business? Come up with the recycling companies, and turn all this into something like what he has on his hand. He talks about where he's been using this. This is something that he's been doing for the last 5 years. I'm quite surprised. He went loud about it. I don't know, but I hope they don't find him.
Have created plastiline, a gasoline alternative made from plastic waste. The entire world deserves to know that this thing that we're seeing polluting our world, this thing in our oceans, is not what we've been told it is. Plastic is made of petroleum, and it can be turned back into petroleum. Everybody needs to know that the solution to having to fight and go to war over oil, the solution to a crazy...
Exactly. If this can make actually us have cheaper, because let's say if we start this way, we have recycling companies, and then we start producing our own petroleum. I don't know how that's the whole process, but literally, we come up with different companies, industrialization companies and all that, where we can refine the oil itself as well, our refinery companies, all that procedure. If we just start slowly, and then by the time we realize what we're doing and now taking back control of our own resources like oil. I'm talking about Nigeria at this point. We're taking control of your own oil from Shell, the Rothschild and the Rockefellers, literally. And then you don't just have you shouldn't be having just one refinery company or a recycling company. There should be so many, because number one, we're trying to create job employment as well. People should be collecting these garbages, taking them to bringing them to your companies. Figure out how you're going to pay them. Pay them, and whatever you're going to be recycling, let it be also make a profit for you as you reproduce. When you talk about the oil, of course, the recycling and then the refining of the oil itself, we won't need no China, we won't need no India, we won't need no France, we won't need no Canada, we won't need no US. We'll be super independent. Because if this guy's been doing this for the last 5 years, I'd want to ask him, how much have you been saving ever since you stopped literally depending on this other, companies that have to give you oil, subsidization and all that. If you guys are really getting what I'm saying.
Crazy crisis of pollution and trash for all of humanity. The solution to microplastics has been right in our face this entire time. This was made from plastic waste.
See how clean it is. It's super, super clean. So this guy has figured out also to refine it. Not just to process, recycle the plastic, but also how to refine it. So, we have people who have the mindset to do it. If you can't critically think as a leader, then at least employ people who can help you critically think, help you out to set up all these things. It's crazy.
Right here, what you see before your eyes. I've put it in engines. I've put it in gasoline engines, diesel engines, small engines, large engines, 2 strokes, 4 strokes. I've been doing this for 5 years. And you think I'm going to allow them to continue to convince the world that we're doomed when I know that there's something that can be done about this horrible thing they call plastic? I'm not going to allow that. I've made it my life's mission. I am not going to stop until every human being on earth knows that plastic waste is not trash, but it is fuel. Everything is made of energy. Everything has energy within it, has potential energy within it, and we can tap that out of plastic, and we can make something that we can use all together in the world. We can take any type of plastic and turn it into fuel. So don't ever lose hope, and know there's somebody in this world vouching for you, vouching for all of humanity, working hard and risking their life every day to make and prove this point that plastic is not trash, but it is untapped potential energy. Plastic is fuel, nature jam.
Yep, you heard it. Plastic is not trash. Plastic is fuel. So imagine if we really had so many recycling companies, like I said, creating a job opportunities where people should just collect all this trash, bring to your company, pay them whatever amount, at least let it make sense according to maybe whatever regarding the weight of the trash, or literally the weight of the trash and all that, because that's how I see them literally weigh. They weigh according to the weight, how many kgs, how many does this weigh, then you get paid from that. So that is creating job opportunities. And then you have the recycling companies, and then come up with a refining company of the oil itself. Because I'm trying to wonder how this guy, it's not impossible because he's done it. He's figured out how to recycle the garbage, every trash, every plastic, turning it into petroleum and refining it. You can see how clean it is, literally. He's been doing it for 5 years. So what is stopping all these other countries? What is stopping literally the African continent itself? The young people are literally showing us this is possible. So Ugandans with these conditions, the condition I've just shared of what Ugandans, and not just Uganda, but again, it's Africa at large. This is the condition you'll find on the streets, in people's compounds, around apartments, literally sewages littering everywhere, left, right, and center. And this is a norm to the point where we've normalized this ourselves. We've normalized this ourselves, literally. But it's because you're also dealing with people who have lacked to come up with literally a procedure or a process of how we can be able to put everything together. Rwanda is working because it's organized. Kagame is a no-nonsense man. If you have someone who's really organized so well and he understands how he wants the town, city, county run, none of this bullshit is going to be happening. But you have people who are so illiterate, employing finance ministers who cannot even critically think. So, I mean, again, what do we expect? Shout out to John Mosquito, karibu sana. Talking about Uganda, littering, infiltration of plastics, and which actually is raising concerns, not just in Uganda, but Africa at large. And we have that young man who was talking about how every plastic is fuel, and how everything literally comes from energy, and we can turn everything into what you want. They have just been lying to you. You know, we have the capability. They just don't want you to know. They want to stop you. But as we get to continue, as we move on, literally, as we talk about African countries, I want to talk about also what is happening in Guinea and Haiti before I get into Lynn Gugi's video. And then I have also another video I'll be sharing towards the end of the show. So in Guinea, we know that they did, of course, have a fake coup. Personally, I call it a fake coup because there is no any development we've seen in that country ever since this guy took over power. And of course, the people and the country are demanding to go back to civilian ruling.
It was supposed to take place at the end of 2024, but Guinea's military junta now says it will hold a constitutional referendum on the 21st of September this year. It's hoped that the move will put the country on the path to civilian rule, more than 3 years after the junta took over in a coup. The new date set for the referendum comes after the military missed a December 31st deadline to launch the democratic transition. That pushed many into the streets to protest. The delay also triggered criticism from activists and opposition figures. On the ballot in September will be constitutional changes like setting presidential term limits. Voters will also decide on whether current junta members are allowed to contest in elections. It could mark a departure from the transition charter drawn up by the military shortly after the coup. It blocks members of the junta from running. Guinea's military leaders have been long accused of stifling opposition by arresting critics, including journalists, on false charges.
Well, what we know is that these are fake coup. It has not taken the people of Guinea anywhere. I mean, look at Burkina Faso, look at Niger. Niger so far has ensured that that is Tiani is their president for the next 5 years. So, I mean, we're about to look at the transition that is about to happen there. So far, so good. Dealt with France, kicked out. Dealt with ECOWAS, kicked out. Dealt with the African Union, kicked out. And dealt with other different organizations, including the World Bank and the IMF, kicked out. And they're doing things independently. But if you look at Guinea, they're still deep involved with all these other fake organizations. So I won't buy this. This is all literally for the interest of the oppositions as well, because this is, of course, mind you, it's politics. So the oppositions also don't like what is happening. I mean, if the junta is not acting according to the people and according to us, the puppets, the fellow puppets who are in here, you know, what are we supposed to do? We're going to pay a few people, raise an alarm like, you know, we need to go back to civilian ruling, but this is all just some bullshit and some scams. So I'm not buying none of it personally. That is what is happening in Guinea. But if you look at Haiti, we have civilians demonstrating regarding, of course, the gang violence. They're claiming that there is escalating, the gang violence has escalated. And mind you, we've been talking about the Kenyan troops who are also missing. You know, the Kenyan troops who are deployed there, some of them have been shot dead and they have been returned right here in the 254. Some of them have gone missing. I think they're running away from all this. And mind you, we know what is happening. We do understand what is happening. Just like in Sudan, between Sudan and Uganda. I think I'm going to share that video. Just like Sudan and Uganda, we've been made to fight against each other. You know, we've been turned enemies of each other through our own very own leader. It's crazy.
Thousands of Haitians took to the streets of the capital Port-au-Prince on Wednesday, demanding that the government keep them safe amid the ongoing gang violence. Many demonstrators clutched tree boughs or palm fronds, while some carried machetes and firearms. While the protests began peacefully, gunfire erupted later in the day, with whizzing bullets causing the large crowd to flee in panic. We came here to give them, the government, our demands. We demand freedom, we demand security. We need to be able to work and save our country. Armed gangs control nearly all of the capital and surrounding areas, and discontent and anger is spreading over the transitional government's failure to hold them off. An undermanned and underfunded United Nations-backed security mission has also done little to prevent their advance.
Yeah, this is all the doing of the U.S., literally. We know the U.S. is very much deep involved. This is Trump, of course, continuing with all this, destabilization of Haiti. There's nothing, as much as we can see him not funding, there's nothing he's doing to stop it at the end of the day. Let's not forget that. As much as he has said, oh, we're not going to fund Kenya anymore because of what? Nah. Have you done anything to stop it? Because you started all this mess. If we follow up, you see you're very much deep involved. So this is so sad to see. Of course, so many people have been displaced. The war escalating, the gun violence. There's nothing that is happening in the country. People cannot work. Schools, of course, people can't go to school. The children can't go to school. And this is because people are trying to demand peace in their own country. But we have Kenya being used in the name of we're going to maintain peace. I mean, why is this still happening if there's any progress of peace that you are supposed to maintain there? Why is this still happening in Haiti? We need answers. Ruto and Joe Biden, or that is Trump, they need to tell us what is really, really happening. But as we move on from literally the rest of the conversation, or the main conversation of the day, I want to share the video coming from Lynn Gugi, talking about, of course, how our government is poisoning us. As we get deeper into this, of course, I'll be reminding you guys of the events that we've discussed. Like I said about the GMO, we were being pushed to take the GMO. We were being told we're not going to be using our indigenous seeds anymore. They told us to actually, we're going to need to vaccinate our cows. And now we're having pesticides that are banned in their origin countries. We're talking about France, talking about Australia, we're talking about Thailand, we're talking about Germany, Italy. They've banned some of these pesticides, but Africa, why is it that Africa, we have to be the ones using them? I mean, our African puppets have become literally so gullible to this point of literally just going along with their agenda. Of course, it's been very active, but it's crazy to see what we've been talking about, internal racism, how it won't consciously just hit you to stop killing your own people. It's so crazy. But we're starting with this one. Shout out to Ikan Fire Karibu Sana. He says Kenyan police should leave right now. Funding has stopped. Of course, it has stopped. But again, the question I have is, what has Trump done to stop this? That is the question. Of course, Trump is not funding this anymore. But what has he done to stop this? Is he calling out Kenya for what it's doing in Haiti? Is it questioning? Because he does have the voice. Let's not forget that. Trump is a very big mouth. He won't shut up about anything that doesn't even concern him. So what is it doing so far to help Haitians? Nothing. So
here, but today we get to talk about another sensitive conversation. This is food security, the pesticides, etc., etc. But if anyone missed out on our first episode, maybe looking at that camera, would you introduce yourself and remind them what you do?
Once again, thank you so much, Lynn, and to our listeners. My name is Kelvin Kubai. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I specialize much more on human rights litigation and environmental class actions. Previously, we've dealt with a topic on conservation and the British Army training activities in Laikipia. But today we are even in a more interesting topic that touches each one of us individually and collectively, and it's very much, I'm very much happy to even be sharing about it.
Okay. Why is this conversation important to you? Because I've noticed this is something that you are doing so passionately. What's your why when it comes to this?
I think, to be honest, this happens to be my single most patriotic duty to my country, because it's something that touches each one of us. And I would want to work with our listeners how food that from the soil that comes to your plate.
Yes.
It's a journey that begins with a seed. And then from this seed, it gets up in your dinner table. And these, you may not even know, or in the evening when you're having dinner, for instance, assuming today you had rice and beans and sukuma wiki for dinner. The sukuma wiki might be coming from somewhere in Kinangop. The tomatoes that was used in preparing the stew might be coming from somewhere, let's say in Endarasha.
Yes.
The onions could be coming from somewhere in Nyeri. The peas may be, or dengu might be coming from somewhere in Ukambani. The rice might be coming from Moya. So what comes to your dinner table individually has gone through a journey and a series that you as the consumer might not even have a full view of it. You have no idea where these tomatoes were prepared, the ingredients that were used, the seeds that were used. And now you're speaking in an era of proliferation of GMOs. So you may not even be able to know whether some of, or a certain percentage of the food in your dinner consists of GMOs.
True. And then just to stop a little bit on that, if I look at currently right now in Kenya, I think we're dealing with very, very many genetically modified foods so far. It's there. I think it was the other day, Iwaton brought me some orange, and then looking at it, it didn't have any seeds. I'm like, and then the taste is different. I'm like, nah. This is not a real orange. This is a genetically modified orange. And then the other time again, I think on Saturday I went to the market, bought orange. Some friends of mine brought me some oranges. Then looking at it, this one was tasty, and then it had seeds. I'm like, wow, literally we have GMOs here. The onions as well. If you look at the tomatoes as well. So far we've not really gotten to the watermelons and all that, but yeah, I think bananas, low-key, I'm not sure about the bananas, but yeah, we're talking about onions, the tomatoes. If you're not careful, if you don't know the real tomatoes, you'll end up buying the genetically modified ones, literally.
And I say so because, especially in Africa, 60% of our population are into farming, and farming remains, and agriculture remains to be the single most largest employer of the Kenyan population. So most of the people, mashinani, in the villages engaging in these farming activities, we've really let them down as a country. I mean, we've not been able to guide them such that when they prepare this seed, that will at the end of the day land in your dinner table. Have they prepared it, in a safety or in a safe way, so that what lands in your dinner table is safe and secure.
Okay,
yeah,
great. And I know we have a shocker here, because when I was having this conversation with you before, when we were preparing for this episode, you gave me a percentage, and I was like, wait a minute, what are you saying? Drop it for us. Give us that shock already. Shock us.
Yeah, over 30% of the chemicals that we can, accessible in the Kenyan market, they've been banned elsewhere, especially in the countries where they are manufactured. So we have companies in the UK, companies in the US and China. We have Syngenta, we have Monsanto, we have Bayer manufacturing these chemicals and pesticides. They do not sell.
You're crazy, John Mosquito.
them within their areas of manufacture, but they export them to developing countries like Kenya, who import them, and they are readily available in our market. And our farmers, even the most shocking thing is they do not know the scientific reasons behind the reason why these chemicals have been banned. And they are...
Exactly. So we have the minister of the ministry, the cabinet secretaries involved in agriculture and all that. But these people don't do their jobs. So this is where, again, You need to be checked before you get appointed into these offices. Do you really have the papers of the position you're taking? Because this is their work. You're supposed to be doing clear investigations of what we have imported, exported in our country. This includes the ministers of trade, agriculture, minerals. You're supposed to be here literally counter-checking if you really work for your people and care for your people, counter-checking what is coming in and out of the country. Why do we have these illegal pesticides, chemicals being imported into Africa? Not just Kenya, Africa. Because even when we're talking about actually even the skin bleaching chemicals in Nigeria, that also goes back to the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Healthcare. How are all these chemicals getting into the country if someone is not actually, a cartel is not being paid to literally just destroy the lives of Africans? Because these are business. These are business literally understand going on. The agenda is depopulation. That is the agenda. So someone is getting paid, someone is benefiting, literally other people suffering, someone is literally benefiting. So this is just super, super crazy. And he's going to mention that is glyphosate. That is the next thing he's going to mention. We have a bunch of chemicals he mentioned. We have glyphosate, and if you look at glyphosate, it's broad spectrum systematic herbicidic and crop desiccant. This is some hard terms, meaning it kills wide variety of weeds and can also be used to dry out crops before harvest. It works by inhibiting an enzyme in plants essential for the synthesis of certain amino acids, effectively starving the plant. Let me just share this as we continue.
A lot of them in 2022 we did move to court.
Next, the countries it is banned.
We filed a very substantive petition on very weighty issues on a number of these pesticides and molecules, about 8 of them. Just to name a few, we've glyphosate, we've paraquat, we've malathion, we've chlorophylls, we've phyllonopium, and all these they're groundbreaking or let's say weighty scientific reasons as to why they're not allowed in the areas of manufacture. But then they're imported in Kenya. They are readily available in the agrovet nearest to you, and our farmers continue using them without knowledge of their grievous health effect, and not just to the farmers, but even to the consumers who happen to be at the receiving end of the end product of the agricultural chain.
Let's go through some of these again. You said
glyphosate.
Glyphosate, very famous.
It's the most famous of it all. Glyphosate the glyphosate is in a number of chemicals. To begin with, the most famous one is Roundup. And Roundup elsewhere, especially in the US, it's been found to cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma usually affect the lymph nodes. So when you've a farmer, especially in the use of these glyphosate, and it has so many ways of getting into your skin. Glyphosate can get to the human body through the skin, it can get through the eyes, it can get through the nose while you breathe. So it happens to be the most common one. And farmers use it because they don't want to till the land. So once you spray Roundup, for instance, it dries up everything.
That is the one that will be used to dry the grass and whatever.
Correct.
Mwagia Roundup.
Correct. Correct. It has substituted even tilling. And there is a correlation between glyphosate or these, especially they are known as non-selective herbicides. So they kill everything by, it dries up. So there's a correlation between glyphosate or these non-selective herbicides and GMO seeds. Because GMO seeds are tailored such that they are not affected by these non-selective herbicides. So if you're spraying like glyphosate, it can burn anything else but leave the GMO seed, because now the GMO has been tailored such that it is not affected by the active ingredient, these glyphosate. So you've continued, and the funny thing is the companies that produce these GMO seeds, again, the same company is producing this glyphosate. So throughout the supply chain of these chemicals, they happen to have continued the market because they'll supply the farmer with GMO seeds, and then they supply him again with these herbicides.
Literally killing the soil. So you're given the genetically modified seeds, which you're gonna keep on depending on, literally on and on. Then you have the pesticides, which number one, you can hear they're illegal in their own countries. And the countries we're talking about Denmark. Actually, let me read this. There's many countries globally use glyphosate, including some of the top users in Europe, like Denmark, Poland, Netherlands, France, and Portugal. But if you look at countries that are banned, we have France, which is very much doesn't allow this in their own country. We have Germany, we have Australia, we have Italy, we have Sri Lanka, we have Thailand, and which other country did I forget to mention? Yeah, Vietnam. And then why is Africa being pushed to accept this? And this is what I'm saying. It goes back to all these effed up illiterate people we've put in this position. And going back, starting with Nigeria again, why is it that we're having skin bleaching chemicals being imported in Africa? Who is allowing this? It goes back to the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Health. Someone is literally getting paid to ensure the life of Africans are being devastated, to keep on running this money system scheme of hospitalization. Now you have cancer, you don't get cured. You go to chemotherapy, radiotherapy. They just want to kill you. It's all about just the agenda they have been planning, 2030, 2025. So this is why we have Ruto literally pushing all this bullshit on our faces. The genetically modified food, we can't take we no longer need to use our indigenous seeds. Then vaccinating the cows. Nah, Africans, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. This is crazy. This is crazy. It makes me wonder how we've really gotten here. When you talk about agriculture, this makes me mad. Karibu sana Keith.
It's supposed to make you mad, Joby. Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Asante sana to you, Joby.
If it's anything you're not supposed to say on air, kindly just say it.
I'm not gonna say it on air, Joby. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing crazy on air, Joby. You can calm down. I'm not gonna say nothing crazy. I haven't even cursed, so I haven't even cursed, and that's why YouTube has allowed the videos to be green or whatever they call it. I haven't even done any cursing, Joby. What I wanted you to do is this is what I'm looking for. This shows what you're talking about is truthful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sent you a video. I want you to understand the nature of how bad these leaders are. So I sent you a leader, Joe, which is just like to amplify what you're saying. It's like 3 seconds. I don't know. It's like it might be more. It might be like 30 seconds. You know, this amplifies. How could these people ever be leaders of anything? This is so crazy, you know. So this amplifies what you're talking about. This is on purpose because, see, Europeans are parasites. So they want to destroy the lands. You got to keep come back and use them to keep buying from them to keep making them wealthy. Why would you keep making fake seeds when you live in the most irritable lands? Why would I use? Because the seeds they give destroy your land, and then now you can only plant that land with their seeds. So now you got to pay them constantly to have them seeds to grow food that has no nutritional value in it.
So let me share it. You got it.
Now look at this. Now this is Joey's favorite friend. This is Tinubu. This dude is functionally retarded. The idea that he's a president is absolutely mind blowing. Go ahead, just show from the beginning.
Yeah, beat hell out of me.
He looks drunk, number one. That's what I see.
He ain't drunk, Joby. This is a literal moron who wants to be called his excellency. This dude is partially retarded. This is despicable right here. That this man is.
I get
That's
that.
why this man has never won any election. This is the white people playing in your face. Go ahead, Jim.
I don't read it. So if I want to hear anything, my children or any of my workers will tell me, this one say this one. If I'm tired, I say, please.
God have mercy upon us.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, have mercy upon us. Because what the heck is that? What the hell is that? And this is what we're talking about, this is just so crazy. And then if you look at the people he's really appointed, you expect them to do better. If your top leader is such a joker, mediocre like that, you expect the rest of you to look representable to the rest of the world. No matter
That's why Uganda's finance ministry look like he did. Woo! I can make me a job, yay! What?
This is just so crazy and such a shame. But let me go back to the video. I'm not going to share this whole video. I think I'm going to maybe continue the rest tomorrow. I'll share till where I can. But he's talking about literally how Kenya, that is the government of Kenya, is poisoning Kenyans through pesticides that are banned in their own regional countries. And it started by glyphosate. What we're trying to look at, and he's defining the chemicals that are found on glyphosate, the acids, how they destroy crops and the soil, and then adding the fact that you're given already, they're pushing you to stop using indigenous seeds. So you're gonna be depending on genetically modified seeds, which already are damaging the soil. Add the pesticides, damaging this. So it's just you depending on them forever and ever, just and which is it's not even producing anything valuable to you. Your land is literally, the value of that land is being killed. The GMO seeds, the pesticides, and then you have the fertilizers, which also we no longer know how to make organic fertilizers. People are like, I can't touch shit. You can't touch what? That is your food.
Exactly.
That is the food you're going to literally consume, so you can also shit. So it's crazy, man. You need to critically think, people. You need to critically think. Africans, again, I question, how did we get here? As much as we've had so many lands stolen away from us during colonialism, and still happening, how did we lose not understanding this is wrong, this is right? Because for me, like I'm saying today, I can tell the original seed of the original fruit. When we talk about an orange, when we talk about tomatoes, we know the GMO tomatoes right now. When we talk about onions, we see them. You talk about bananas. If you tell me maybe about the Black Americans not understanding that, I'm gonna get it, But you as an African in this land, something is wrong with us.
Disregard a number of violations. In 1996, Monsanto.
This is why you'll see people like Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto stealing billions of funds, telling you we've set aside, subsidize the amount of fertilizer. You've been sold completely sand, literally. These people are making a fool out of your own eyes. I mean, as much as we're talking about them, also us, we have a problem. As much as Tinubu is not being appointed there just as they know he's an illiterate, literally. They know this guy, this guy cannot function anywhere. Like, I bet he has someone who has to move. Of course, there is a spokesperson. This is why they have papers written for them, because they can't even straight just fluently talk. What is on your mind? What is the agenda, the ideas you have about your country? What are the projects? It's crazy, man. Something's wrong with us.
Which has now been bought by the German company Bayer. They were warned about misrepresenting glyphosate, because they always advertised glyphosate saying glyphosate will not harm anything. In fact, it's so safe than your daily consumable product.
Oh, wow.
They're only saying that glyphosate can only harm
cancer
the weeds and not the human and not human beings. And so there was litigations across US, and they found that the Monsanto company was misrepresenting about glyphosate. They were not disclosing the effect of this chemical to the people, and it was false and a misleading allegation to say that glyphosate will not harm anything else apart from human beings. So many times when I filed this petition that I did allude on earlier before, most of the companies we sued are the companies manufacturing these active ingredients. We sued the Agrochemical Association of Kenya as an umbrella body through which all these companies are registered under. We did sue also the PCPB, and we did sue also the Ministry of Agriculture. We did also bring on board the county government because of the devolution of agriculture, and we also did sue the Ministry of Health. I was happy the other day when our new Minister for Health, CS, the new CS for Health, Aden Duale, in his post on X, he did say that health is wealth. And so if health is a wealth, our health is directly related to what we eat, because we are what we eat. Various philosophers have said that you are as healthy as your gut. So how as a country do we determine the health of what we eat? How are we to ensure that what comes to our dinner table is safe? If you walk to our market here and buy tomatoes, how assured are we that these tomatoes are safe? When we speak about these misrepresentation of these chemicals, by these companies, they can afford a lot of publicity, they can afford a lot of PR.
That's true. They pay for advertisements, they pay. This is what I'm saying. This goes back to also the officials we have appointed there. So this is just so crazy and wicked. Why is
yes, it is.
My goodness, I don't even want to question why, because if these chemicals are banned in their own country, France, Thailand, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and the rest that I've just mentioned, why is Africa accepting this, and who is pushing this? Who is pushing this? If the US also doesn't allow this, who is really pushing this? That is why I go back to. Whoever is pushing this is using the African puppets, and they're agreeing to it. And then the puppets pay the media, because the media is controlled. They're gonna threaten you if you don't do by their bids. You're gonna lose your job. So you gotta accept the few pounds and advertise this bullshit. Say it's good. Say it's good for the health of the people. Put the PR. Ensure people are buying it, and ensure you get customers. Otherwise, why am I advertising with you? It's crazy.
In fact, they advertise even in local languages.
Yes, exactly.
You will hear them in Kameme, you will hear them in...
especially the local languages. So you can imagine now there's someone who's so uneducated. Maybe they've been struggling. Maybe it's because of the seasons of the weather. And then because Africans, we don't understand now, because they control the weather. We don't even know the seasons of the weather anymore. It's raining today, tomorrow it is sunny, tomorrow it's snowing. All of a sudden we have snow in Africa, make it make sense in some places, I mean, South Africa we do, but in Kenya, some places see snow. It's just so crazy. So we hear them advertising in local languages. Let's say I'm somewhere like in Isiolo, right? We saw the Isiolo people even don't understand about carbon emission. So you've been struggling so much with your farming. You see, maybe the productivity is not, going well. Then you hear because the propaganda is very well, the media is very well punctuated to sell ideas, and the idea is for you to buy them also. So you're gonna be sold this idea, and then you're gonna buy it. Not us though, but we're gonna package this idea for you, and then you'll have to buy it. So you're very uneducated. You literally maybe never went to school. You know nothing about.
That's how exactly. That's how these leaders are so wicked, because they don't care about African people. They're so wicked. Oh, they get their little bit of chai. They're so corrupt. They don't care. This is so. I mean, you think at a certain point you would care because your children are growing up in the same country. You have some level of caring.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Zero care.
EFM advertising these chemicals so that the immediate so that the immediate, the farmer at the grassroots level can be able to understand that. As I was coming to this show, I was wondering, Lynn, when you come to the human drugs,
Yes.
I do not find them being advertised. I do not find them saying that we've come up with this new drug. It is this effective, say for Maramoja and aspirin.
Yes.
And even at the end of advertising Maramoja, the advertiser will add up and say, maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari. So they always advise you that this is not the end of it.
Yes.
But when you come to the advertisement of these chemicals, these advertisements do not disclose to the Kenyan farmers and consumers the effect of these chemicals. They do not disclose to them, even in other jurisdictions, these chemicals have been banned, such that now when the farmer is going to purchase these chemicals from the agrovet, he's buying them with the knowledge that I am buying them at my own risk, and if I'm buying them, I'm supposed to do this and this. And allow me to juxtapose the human drugs and these agrochemicals, because they both serve, one serves the botany part of it, and the other one serves the human lives. So anytime you're walking to a chemist to buy a drug, you ought to have a prescription from a doctor.
Yes.
In fact, very many professional pharmacists will always ask you whether a doctor has referred you to them. And if you say no, they'll tell you, this drug, we cannot sell it to you without a prescription of a doctor. But now, walk in an agrovet in any town in this country, even in the villages, and you want to buy glyphosate, Roundup, the agrovet will not even question you.
Exactly. That is also another problem. And this we just have people who have set up businesses for the sake, zero education about what you even sell. Just because you saw your friend who is doing okay in that business, now you steal the idea, you go somewhere in another new place, you set up the same business, but you can't even explain to your customers what you're selling. What is this pesticide supposed to help me? What are the damages? Because personally, I remember growing up, we used to have that. You could be told, this fertilizer, this is the effect. This is what. If you feed this to the chicken, expect this. If these are the broiler chicken, if these are the original chickens, these are the effect of if you feed them this and this. These are the effect if you feed a cat or a dog this. But today,
everything is unnatural because you're dealing with unnatural beings. So that's what I'm saying. Everything for them is unnatural, and unnatural things hurt African bodies because we're natural. We're part of nature. We are nature itself. So we can't be eating this crap. It causes cancer with us 10 times the rate, as I was explaining the ear time. That's why our life expectancy is down in the 60s now, because we're eating all this garbage, this food that has no mineral or nutritional value. It's all garbage. It's all fake food. It's all garbage. It's all fake. It's Franken food.
Crazy. It is crazy. It's crazy.
Whether an agronomist has referred you to the agrovet.
Actually, most of the times, the children are the ones who are sent. Enda unilete paraquat.
You're very right.
Yeah.
And myself, I'm a victim. I've got it so many times, countless times. My parents send me, go to the market, buy us these pesticides, and I go and buy them. And I walk home with them, and even when you're sending a child, even though the agrovet wanted to enlighten you on some of this, they cannot be able to pass this information to a child. A child may not even have the capacity to understand.
Yes.
And most of our farmers, we have to understand them. Most of our farmers are semi-illiterate, illiterate. So the basic question...
You hear? They're illiterate. So most of them are not
I know.
At all. Most of them zero skill. Zero.
That should be running in our minds. Why is something so harmful for the US and UK citizens, but it is safe for the Kenyan citizens?
Exactly.
Like in America, they have these improved agriculture. Most of their farming is mechanized. So you find even the interaction between the farmers and these chemicals is very minimal, because most of the time it's machines. If it is spraying, they're using machines. Then they can also afford these gears for being able to do this work. But the conditions in Kenya, if we were to say, because most of the time when PCPB has made responses to our petition in court, they've always said that the conditions in America and UK are very different.
Yes.
So they're saying they're allowing them here because the conditions in Kenya can allow this.
Oh, really?
We are allowed. So listen. So we are allowed to be exposed to chemicals. It's okay. These are Africans. You know, we shouldn't
Exactly,
come with
Joey.
a strategy of ensuring they don't come hand in hand with these chemicals. No, we ensure they're actually killing their farm, their soil, and themselves. This is just so crazy. Crazy.
And I still wonder, in fact, it is very much ironic because if anything, it means the conditions in Kenya, we should have even more stringent measures because in US and UK, we've farmers who have advanced agricultural inputs, with farmers who can afford the necessary implements that are needed or necessary to using these chemicals. But look at our daily farms. Look at our farmers in Moya. Look at our farmers in Ahero. Look at our farmers in the Rift Valley.
Working as slaves, still working as slaves, and most of them are still trying so hard to even get job opportunities in these spaces. We've seen the Kericho tea farm, you know, which is owned by the British. We've seen the coffee. You've just seen Ruto right now saying that he's going to be paying the coffee farmers in the next 2 weeks. I'm like, hold on. So they have not been for the next 2 weeks. How much are they owed, number one? And what is the profit we've been making even from this coffee? Because we've not been making anything, not from coffee, not from tea. Our agricultural system is dying. And because it has been dying, they're out now, we want to save you with the GMOs and some pesticides, you know. Let us come out.
All you gotta do, Joe, is go look at Zimbabwe, who did this. Zimbabwe now has the #1 cancer rate in Africa. Go look at what the GMOs have done to Zimbabwe, Joe. Two countries below Kenya. Look at it, go see, say what has been the effects of GMO in Zimbabwe? See if Zimbabwe has the highest rates of cancer in Africa now, Joe. Pull that up. If they're alive, they got the highest rates of cancer now. And that's because of the GMOs. They introduced them and now they're killing them.
No. They're saying no, Zimbabwe doesn't have the highest rate of cancer globally, but it does have the highest.
No, not globally, in Africa, Joby, in Africa.
It does have a higher burden of cancer, particularly cervical cancer, the most common cancer in Zimbabwe women.
Exactly. I'm saying, I said in Africa, you know, not on the planet. So in Africa, they have the cancer rate is through the roof. And that's because of the GMOs that were introduced by those white people that you showed there the other day. Those people introduced that shit to Zimbabweans.
No, it's not the highest still. It's not the highest. But still, Africans have been exposed to so many foods that are causing all these cancer diseases.
Who's the highest? South Africa then? Who's the highest in Africa then? That'd be between South Africa and Zimbabwe because they both got the you know what then. They both got the GMOs.
It's Swatini, South Africa.
Okay, South Africa. Exactly. So you just named it, South Africa.
Yeah.
I think South Africa and Zimbabwe because you know who's there and you know who's got the GMOs.
Exactly. But yes, the rest
How
of the
you
video
doing today?
we'll finish in the tab tomorrow. We'll finish the rest of the video tomorrow. But shout out to John Mosquito. He was saying Tinibu has just weak simply put. I don't know what you really mean, but I also see Baron Scott Karibu Sana. I see you saying you caught up with yesterday's show. Hope you enjoyed. And I also see you still love your chitlins and pork chops. That's what's up, man. You like what you like.
I haven't heard nothing about.
You like what you like. But yes, we're coming to the end of today's conversation right here. This has been the Pan-African English Show. We've spoken about what is happening in Guinea. We've spoken about what is happening in Haiti. We've spoken about what is happening, of course, with Kenya. But before I wind up, I have this video I want to share. So this is, again, talk about level of illiteracy. This is another level of illiteracy. So we had Kenyans who stoned an American preacher after he dared to say Jesus is black. According to him, they lashed out because they despise their own dark skin and are still mentally colonized. So I want to share this very quickly. This is just so insane to see and super funny at the same time. So,
I know how many. If they retool and see like they.
this is crazy. This shows you the mentally colonization, the mental enslavement is so real, you know.
What happened, Joby? What happened with this?
Watu wetu tu ni watu wa maana na wao ni wana wa Israeli. Na Yesu Kristo mwenyewe ni mtu mweusi kama nyinyi. Akagongwa mawe.
All of them. We went to a church yesterday. We were teaching outside. As soon as the church heard Jesus was black, they were infuriated. We were just reading the scripture. They got so mad. They threw rocks. Why? Because a lot of you in Kenya hate yourself. You hate the way you look. You hate anything black. Why? Because it upsets your European colonizers.
That's internal racism.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So yeah, this is crazy. This is happening.
See,
yeah, the people to be involved.
This is why you treat white people better. You treat your own African people. This is mentally messed up. You should know. That's why your education system's got to be at least revamped. Because if this fake thing existed, that was in Africa. You couldn't have been a white man. Your mind is so messed up, so destroyed. Even if this fake creature thing lived, he had to have been an African because where he was at was Northeast Africa. Those were African lands. Whether you believe the story or not, but if he did exist, he would be African. Wow, it's crazy. Yeah. They like, whoa, no, whoa. So, man, that would just depress me. That's that guy, Jesus Christ. Wow, that's why I showed that video how the Kenyans are running behind that homeless man, that white homeless man. They brought the damn Kenyan, made him Jesus. They running. He was on that truck dancing and stuff. He was like, that's Jesus, that's the Lord. And then the Huru threw his ass out the country because it was embarrassing to the whole world. They said, what is going on in Kenya? They got some homeless white man. They call him Jesus.
It's crazy, man. But we're coming to the end, family. Thank you so much to everyone who has been with us in this amazing episode of the day. This has been the Pan-African Bleacher, man. Go try. Don't dare go. That is a warning. Don't go in a group of indoctrinated Negroes telling them Jesus is black. You're gonna get.
You bet not. Wow. You bet. Wow. It's that bad. Man, you talking about? You talking about? Wow. How do you get? How do you? Wow. You destroyed me with that mess. Wow. Wow, wow. You talking about not getting back none of your land, none of your minerals, getting back nothing. Being your mind is, oh my God, this is crazy. Because that Joey wants to talk what's internal hate. That's internal hate. That's why your skin bleach.
Yep, that's what he said. You hate yourself. That's why you can't even take the fact that Jesus is black. You hate yourself so much. But peace and love, family. See you guys later tomorrow. Have yourselves a beautiful day.
Zingua, zingua, baby ushani maliza, yo. Nilikuona kwa TV, yo.